One of the best things you can do to really understand what's going on in terms of optimizing your buyer persona is to just do some online research. When you write and run ads against long tail keywords, when you create content around long tail keywords, long tail keyword phrases and questions, your SEO is going to you're going to number one, start ranking for pages without backlinks, which is one of the hardest things to do in SEO. Three most important things about Google My Business and local SEO are what's called prominence. The second thing is relevance. And the third thing is distance. It used to be we always cared about open rate. But today, I'm most interested in one specific number. And the first number that we want to pay attention to is click-through rate. Today is all about the Q&A, the questions, the things that are on your mind. Sure, maybe you've gone through the content, but maybe now you've got some very specific questions. So what we want to do is take some of the questions that have already been coming in from the content that we created. And if you are visiting and watching this right now, you're watching this live, you can feel free to click the live call-in button and ask us your question live. So with that being said, let's jump into question number one. Question number one is coming from a local business owner. It says, can you elaborate on how SEO and Google My Business can be optimized for a local business? Happens to be that we have spent quite a bit of time in the local marketing space. That's the name of our company, Yokel Local. And we started our run working with small business owners in the local marketplace. So SEO and Google My Business, they work together. They're like peanut butter and jelly. SEO is what we think of typically in the organic listings where you would want to be quote unquote ranked on the first page of Google. And Google My Business is the map section. And so let's talk just for a few moments about the difference between the two. When you're a local business, when someone runs a search specifically from a mobile device or really any internet connected device, Google is going to pick up your IP address, which means it's going to pick up how close you are to the businesses in your proximity related to what they need or what they're searching for. So if you're a local business, there are three things that are really important to think about, and one of which you actually can't control. Okay, so the three most important things about Google My Business and local SEO are what's called prominence. The second thing is relevance. And the third thing is distance. Okay. So let's start number one with distance, because that's the one thing you can't control. If you have a brick and mortar business, for example, let's say you're a chiropractor and your business is on a street, you have a brick and mortar location, people come to you for that service. Well, you have to think about what are the total number of chiropractors in your area, and is it reasonable for Google to show your location when someone is 15 or 20 miles away? Now, I don't know where you are watching this, but distance is going to be relevant to who's closest to you. But if someone across the city is Googling for a chiropractor and they see the map section, it's going to be less likely you're going to be able to show up in the top 3 or 4 in the map section. But you are wanting to make sure that your Google My Business profile is optimized so that you're going to be found as close to your location. So, in other words, from your location out 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, maybe. And this is going to vary depending on how big your location is, your city locale is, the population in your marketplace. If you're in a more rural area, you're going to have a much broader distance range. But if you're in a populated area in a major city, LA, Austin, Texas, Las Vegas, for example, Miami, Florida, then that distance is going to be cut down. So, number two, prominence. What does prominence mean? Prominence means how much does Google see of you out on the web? Meaning, are you a business who just built a website and you just opened your location and you just set up your Google profile, but Google doesn't see links and references to you on the rest of the web? And that's really an ongoing process. And so, without getting too deep here, prominence is built from content on your website, directory listings pointing back to your website. For example, once you list your business on Google, are you listed on Facebook? Are you listed on Instagram? Are you listed on local directories? Are you on Yelp? Are you on different local directories? Are you on the Chamber of Commerce? So these are local directories and ways to build more prominence in your marketplace. Okay. Number three is relevance. The third thing I want to talk about relevance, and we'll move on. Relevance is when someone searches Google, is your business, your website, your brand relevant to those search queries? And here's where a lot of local businesses get things wrong. They think that because they built a nice website and then they have their service pages, and they have a contact page and they have an About Us page, and maybe in the footer they've got a map to their location, they think that that's enough. But the reality is, most consumers who are not yet ready to solve their problem, such as, let's just stick to the chiropractor, if I'm not ready to get a chiropractic adjustment today, but I'm more interested in why my back might continuously be hurting after I lift weights or when I get out of bed or after I've been sitting in my chair all day as a business professional, then I might be searching for answers to those questions, but I'm not yet sure I need a chiropractor. And so, your job, if you're a local business, is to think about all of the questions that your prospect, your customer could be searching for before they're ready to buy. That's what builds relevance. And it's an ongoing process. There's a certain subset of questions that are on your prospect's mind that they're going to want to know the answer to before they make a purchase, especially if they don't know who you are yet. And that's the job of local SEO. That's the job of SEO in general. It's to show up the most relevant way at the right time when the person has that question. What you might have is a blog post in this example where someone like myself, I work at a desk all day. I've been working at a desk for 25 years. And if I've got some lower back pain or I feel some tense, some tightness in my shoulders, I might Google why I have tight shoulders or I've got upper back pain after I work at my desk all day. Well, your job as a chiropractor is to write the article that explains why that might be. The potential solution is to come in and see a chiropractor. Okay. Great question. If you're a local business, and again, if you're not a chiropractor, extrapolate that out for your pool service company, your restaurant, your coffee shop, your HVAC company, plumbing company, law firm, whatever that might be. It's going to make the same. It's going to be the same process. Prominence, relevance, and distance are the three things that matter in combined with SEO and Google My Business. Great question. Here's a great question, and it is one that we hear a lot of, and that is, how can I effectively identify and optimize my buyer personas to improve targeting and personalization in my digital marketing efforts? Buyer personas, customer avatars, buyer profiles, unique client profiles, there's a lot of names for it. But your buyer persona and how do you use that to improve your targeting? It really has to do with just understanding how your ideal customer thinks about the problem related to the service or product that solves their problem. Okay. So your buyer persona, your buyer has a problem and they want a solution. And in their identifying the problem, they're going to go on a path to getting to the solution. Now, if you're the service provider or you have the product or you're a software company or you're manufacturing something, you are the solution provider or the product that solves the problem. Your job, though, in understanding your buyer persona is to really just spend time understanding how do they think? How do they act? What's on their mind? As I like to say, what's keeping them up at night at 11 o'clock at night? Now, what's keeping them up at night at 11 o'clock may not be the main problem, but it may be a problem. And your job is to identify these 5, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 40, 50, or 60 potential things that could be keeping them up at night. That would be the problem that they would then want to discover answers to, that would then lead them into your world where you could ultimately solve their problems. And so when we think about personalizing in digital marketing, when we think about really improving the targeting of our Google ads, of our social media content, of our email marketing, it's really just being clear, crystal clear about the problems that people are having en route to the solution that you provide. So if you're just getting started, what might you do? And I'll share with you one big idea that has served me well for years. And it's been, I don't know, 12 to 15, maybe 17 years now I've been using this strategy. What we need to do and think about today is if you're just getting started with your digital marketing journey, or if you're launching a brand new product or service in the market and you don't have customer sales yet, and even if you are a seasoned brand, it might be helpful to go back to this exercise, because even if you're a seasoned brand and you've got business, you're doing millions of dollars already, we can sometimes get caught up in our own thinking of being in the motion in the moment. And here's the research strategy that I would recommend. One of the best things you can do To really understand what's going on in terms of optimizing your buyer persona, what's going on in their mind, what's going on in their language, how are they acting, how are they responding, how are they behaving, is to just do some online research. Let's look at a couple of things. Number one, if you're a local business, you can literally pull up all of the competition in your local marketplace who sell what you sell, do what you do, and go to their online reviews. Maybe that's Yelp, maybe that's Google, a Google profile. Maybe it's a resource like Angie's List if you're a home service provider, something like that. And your job is to spend a few hours going through each of your competitors' reviews and looking at those good reviews, but at the same time, looking at those ones that are not so good. Because what they'll start to tell you and illuminate for you are the problems that they had hoped to get solved by that provider that either did or didn't get solved. Now, you can't just go to your top competitor because they may not just be that aggressive with getting reviews. I can think about one of our best clients and they have only one review on their Google profile. So it's not an indication of, by the way, they should be doing a better job of that, but they're not. Um, but it's not enough to just go get your top competitor. Your job is to pull 5, 10, 15, 20 competitors and then spend time going through their reviews. Tip number two, and that is to look at your industry and take a look at by the way, we're talking about Amazon at this stage. Go to Amazon. And you might be thinking, well, I don't sell e-commerce, so I don't sell products. Well, that's fine. You could be a service provider, but someone is selling something through Amazon to your ideal buyer persona. Maybe it's a magazine, like maybe you're selling to the entrepreneurship space. Maybe they're selling Entrepreneur Magazine. Maybe they're selling Forbes. They're selling something to your customer already. There are books in your industry, in your niche, in your genre, and they're already selling books to your ideal customer. Your job then is to do the same thing there. And this was when I first landed on it. Amazon to me was the best because when you go to Amazon and someone is selling a book to your ideal persona, your ideal buyer, then that group of reviews is going to be very telling because number one, the author took time, weeks, months, maybe years to write this book. And then they put it out into the world for their ideal customer, their ideal buyer persona. And that person's going to tell them if the book met their needs or if it didn't. And you'll find what I give you as a tip is I would extract the 5-star reviews and extract the 1-star reviews and look at the 2s, 3s, and 4s. There you're going to start to get some real language as to what your buyers are really thinking about. The last tip that I would give you, and that is if you are in an industry where you have competitors who have vibrant social media profiles, vibrant organic social media presences, is to spend time in their newsfeed. Look at their comments, look at the content they're posting, look at the interactions they're getting. So there's really 3 ways to do this type of research. Either one, social media, if you've got competitors who are really active in social media. Number 2, Amazon, which is my personal favorite. But if I'm working with a local business, we're going to be all over Yelp. We're going to be all over Google profiles to really understand how those buyer personas move, how they act, how they think, what's keeping them up at night. And then you take that data back and you say, if this is how they're moving with my competitors, this is how I can make my marketing more effective when I'm trying to reach them. So I hope that helps. Okay, let's move to a different category. Let's move to a different category here. Some questions on email marketing. I love this question. How do I determine the ideal timing and frequency for sending out emails in my marketing sequences? This question, I get where this question comes from, but the interesting thing about it has everything to do about knowing the buyer's journey that your ideal buyer might go on en route to buying your product or service. Let me give you a couple of examples. So when we first started in the agency space, I remember when we first worked with personal injury attorneys back then and understanding how people act or how people respond or how people move if they are injured and believed that they had a case or they might want to talk to an attorney about a case. We would learn at that time that most of those prospects who felt that they were injured to the point where they would, they needed to secure an attorney, they would do that within 1 to 3 days of the accident or the injury. So if I'm doing email marketing as part of our campaign for personal injury attorney, then that campaign cadence is going to go really quick over 1 to 3 days, right? Similarly, I remember working with a plumbing company. And I remember one of their highest value services was water heater repair. Okay. So someone comes home, let's say from work. It happened to me. It's happened to me twice, actually. And the water heater is spewing water because it's gone, it's leaking, it's broke, and water is going everywhere. First of all, you got to figure out how to turn the water off before you can even call a repair person because you got to get the water turned off. But more importantly, you are thinking about what is the necessary sequence to get someone who needs that type of an emergency service? Well, that's an immediate service, right? So email may or may not even be helpful in that example. But let me tell you about another company where the decision is a 9-month decision, right? So I remember working with a service company and the decision was for a wedding photographer, right? So we've got a wedding photographer who's going to take photos at someone's wedding. And that decision to get married happened in January, the engagement, but the wedding's not until December of that year. And so now, if you're thinking about email marketing for a 12-month buying cycle or potentially a 10-month buying cycle, because today the bride doesn't need to sign the wedding contract today, the photography contract. They're going to go on a different journey. So, in a short term example, as we just described, you're going to think about sending those emails on a cadence that's appropriate for that sales cycle. On a longer term sales cycle, you're going to have to adjust. But here's what I will say as I wrap this question up: the ideal timing and frequency is not as important as the consistency and the intention to continuously make sure that your prospect knows how you can solve their problem and at what price and at what speed. Because ultimately, when they're ready to solve their problem, they want to know now that it's you that they should be working with. Okay, next question. This one's an interesting one, but I know you watched my training if you asked this question. How do I write a compelling breakup email to re-engage a prospect who's gone quiet? Well, I'm going to always go back to what I call, by the way, a breakup email by definition is an email. I usually think of the breakup email in a sales sequence when someone has indicated that they want to do business with my company, but then they somehow go quiet or as I said in the training, ghost you, right? They say they want a proposal, they get the proposal, and then they ghost you. They show up at a meeting or two, they say they want to move forward, but then the budget comes up and then they just don't respond. So a breakup email, as I think about it, is an email that says either this is important now or it's going to be important later and we want to get some sort of response, right? So I don't think of it as breaking up, meaning, oh, if you don't buy by this day, I'm never going to work with you again. That's not what it means. The intent, though, is how do we get them to re-engage and just tell us, as I've said in my training, are they a now buyer or a later buyer or a never buyer? And it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter which one you're in, but the breakup email is designed to get them to say, I'm a now person, I'm a later person. I don't know that I'm going to make a decision on this, right? The number one thing you're fighting against in sales today, the number one thing you're fighting against in marketing is indecision. It's not a decision to not even do it with you or to do it with a competitor. Most people today just don't want to make a decision. Okay. So, what would we say? Well, first of all, I'd point you back to module 5, I believe it is, in email marketing. And I would certainly think about Dean Jackson's 9-word email. One of the most powerful emails you can send. You can't overuse it, but it is super powerful. And for those that didn't see the training just yet, here's how it goes. In a 9-word email, you're simply putting the first name of your prospect in the email, just their first name: Michael, John, Sally, Susie, right? You're just putting their first name in the subject line. In the body copy, you're simply asking them a question that's a question that ends with yes or no. Okay. What's interesting, you just asked them a question that ends with yes or no. The answer can't be a dissertation. It can't be mind numbing. It has to be a yes or no. If I ask you if you want to go eat at McDonald's, you're going to have an immediate yes or no answer to that. It's not a big debate, right? If you hate McDonald's, the answer is always no. If you're hungry, but McDonald's isn't what you typically do, your answer is probably no. If you usually eat McDonald's, but maybe occasionally, but not sometimes, but once every other month, you might consider it. The point is, it needs to be a yes or no question. So the way the question is phrased is, are you still interested in insert the problem that they were wanting to solve. For example, are you still interested in growing your business online? If it's somebody in my world. And if I want to get more specific, maybe they had a Google Ads proposal. Are you still interested in getting more customers from Google? That's a yes or no question. I'm going to go for LASIK eye surgeon. I talked about that in a training. If I'm sending that email in the LASIK eye surgery space, that email might say, are you still interested in perfect vision by Monday? Right? Because if they're coming to LASIK, they want to get their vision back to 2020. So you think about, are you still interested in solving this problem? Okay. And then you just sign it with your name. There are other ways to do this. And one of the best books you could ever read, which I think I have on my shelf here. Let's see, by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. It's actually not an email book. It's actually a book about negotiation. But what's interesting about it is he has a very interesting way of articulating, and we've turned it into a way to use it in marketing. And that is saying, have you given up on this? So a subject line that says, have you given up on this? And that subject line is very interesting because the person is curious, like, have I given up on what? And then you open the email and then you can say, hey, we talked about solving this problem with this solution, and here are the reasons why you wanted to solve it. Have you given up on solving that problem, or have you given up on whatever that solution might be? Okay, I hope that helps. Interesting. Re-engagement emails are super interesting. What metrics? Next question. What metrics should I track to evaluate the success of my email marketing campaigns? Right now, email is tougher than it has been in the past because of all of the different things going on with email privacy and spam rules. And I mean, all the stuff going on with Apple iOS. And for those that don't know, I don't want to get too crazy, but if you're carrying an Apple device, there were major changes that happened with Apple in terms of how they render and open in your email. I mean, these are things that are just things we can't control. But let's talk to some of those metrics really quick. One of the first metrics, and by the way, open rate is not the metric that I really care about anymore. It used to be we always cared about open rate. But today, I'm most interested in one specific number and then on the front end of that email, and then another number later. And the first number that we want to pay attention to is click through rate. Okay, so the click through rate means, are we getting people to do something with our email after they open it? And again, we can get into the debate about whether open rates are accurate or not accurate. I still think you should track your open rate. And I do think you should move that rate higher and higher as best you possibly can. But your open rate is going to be conditional to a number of things. A, your industry. B, how you get people on your email list. C, do they expect to receive emails from you? Have you communicated that? So there's a lot of reasons for open rates varying. And so I don't want to get into specific open rate numbers. What I will tell you, though, is the number that we really focus on is the click-through rate, meaning, are you putting something in your email that you want them to do after they open your email? Is it go read a blog post? Is it go see a video on social media? Is it to watch a webinar? Is it to opt into a specific offer? Is it to download a coupon? Is it to buy a product? So it's important to know how many people are engaging with that action that you wanted them to take. Okay, so that's probably the metric number one. Metric number two, depending on how you look at it, I do think it's super important to understand how many people are unsubscribing from your emails and at what rate. Now, most email marketing platforms today, I know with HubSpot, with what we use, it tells us an email health score anytime we open up our platform if we want to look at it. And it gives us a gauge or a metric of what a healthy unsubscribe rate should be. So we want to be mindful of, are we within that number? And then another number that we want to look at specifically is, are people reporting us to spam? Like, you want to look at your spam report score. Make sure you're not being reported to spam. Some people think sending more emails is going to elevate the number of people that report us as spam. It's just not true. I am on the email list for Marco's Pizza here in my area. My family, we like Marco's Pizza. We go there maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, maybe not as frequently as that. But Marco sends an email probably 5 times a week. Am I ever going to report them to spam? No, But if I don't want a pizza today, no big deal. I just delete the email. What happens though is when I do want Marco's Pizza, I know that the only reason they're sending me an email is because they're telling me something's on sale and I can save some money. So it's not about frequency that gets you reported to spam or even gets people unsubscribing. It's relevance to the offer or the invitation or the messages in the email. Okay. So those are three metrics I pay a close attention to. The last metric there is, of course, as it relates to sales, is if you're putting invitations in front of people to buy something or to book a meeting or to convert in some way, of course, you want to check whether or not those click throughs are leading to sales or your end objective. All right, let's hop over to questions related to paid advertising. This is one of my favorite topics all over. It's just one of the favorite topics with Google and with Meta today. It's one of the fastest ways to scale your marketing. So someone asks, I did say this in the training, but I'll go ahead and answer this question here. What are the core components of the core methodology mentioned in the Google and Meta advertising? So the core methodology is a lead generation framework that really, I guess I've developed 20 years ago, maybe. And of course, we were doing things offline at the time, but now, of course, we're online. So the core methodology goes very simply like this. The C, and it's an acronym, by the way, the C stands for creating an engaging offer, putting together some invitation that it would make someone who didn't know who you were want to come into your world. Okay. An offer can be as simple as what I just described a moment ago with Marco's Pizza. If I open my email, Marco's is always going to have an offer. 2 pizzas for $10 or get 2 large pizzas for $16.99. I'm making these numbers up. Those are offers, right? An offer can be not something you have to buy. It could be something for free. An offer could be something for me, for my audience to come attend a live workshop or to download a free training or to opt in to a free course, to come to a seminar, any of those things. So it's free to paid. But one thing we must understand is that people won't do anything in terms of taking a cold prospect and making them a lead unless you've given them an enticing offer that's relevant for them. Okay. The C stands for creating a very engaging offer. Number 2, the O stands for offering it to your market. Right? There's no, and this sounds silly, right? It may sound like duh, Darrell, but you got to understand. I've been on the back of 13 years of companies' campaigns who complain about their marketing not working. Yet I look in the back end of their HubSpot or I look in their website, I look around their Shopify. They got all of these offers and they've never put them out in front where the customer can see them. Right? It's almost like having a retail store, but you never open the doors to let people come in and shop. Right? It digitally speaking, we do just the most odd things. I have business owners tell me all the time, well, we're doing so much better than XYZ competitor and we need to improve our marketing, but our marketing, and I look at them like, well, you aren't getting your offer in front of people. Right? You're not using social media. You're not running advertising. You're not sending email. There are no pop-ups on your website. There are no landing pages on your website. That's the way you get the offer out there, right? And so the O stands for offer it to your market. And that happens a number of different ways. The R. The R is very important because most people think that because I offered it, maybe I'm using ads, maybe I'm posting on social, maybe I'm sending emails, I'm doing SEO, I'm writing content. They just forget that the largest majority of people, and I've said this multiple times in the training, the largest majority of people don't want to engage with your offer today. Don't take it personal. They don't want to engage with mine every day, right? So the R stands for remarket or to retarget those people who don't take you up on the invitation today, right? Remarketing and retargeting, it is changing a little bit the way the platforms are now adopting AI. But the fact of the matter is 96%, I didn't make the number up, 96% of people don't want your invitation the day that they see it. So that means 96 out of 100 don't care on the day that they see it. But the 4 that do, you get all caught up in I got to make all my money on the 4. No, the R in the core methodology says, let's brand ourselves. Let's be top of mind. Let's remarket to those people who stopped what they were doing to engage with our offer, but they just didn't take it today. They are not a now buyer. They're a never or a never buyer. They're a later or a never buyer, right? We just have to accept that in our marketing. Okay. And then the E in core. So core, C, create an offer. O, offer it to our market. R, retarget, remarket to those people so we can stay top of mind. And E is really where I've talked about it in the email marketing segment. And that is, it's where all the ROI comes from. It's where the largest part of your ROI comes from. And that is email marketing, or make sure you have follow-up sequences with email so that number one, you can gain leverage, right? If you're one of the 81% of small business owners in America, at least, who are just you and no other team members, right? Or you're part of the 92% who have less than 10 employees, then you need leverage. And that's what email provides so that you can stay top of mind, right? If you want your marketing to improve, you put core into place and then you just iterate on that process over time. Okay. Next question here, and I'll move on. What are some common mistakes to avoid when setting up Google ads or social media ads? I alluded to this in the training, but let's just talk about Google really quick. Google is both platforms, by the way, all social media ad platforms and Google platforms. You can set the ad campaigns up, you can set the ad accounts up for free, right? They're pretty simple to set up. The problem with the setup is if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to allow, number one, you're going to allow default settings that they have baked into the system to guide your campaigns in the wrong way. So that's a common mistake. You might not know what those baseline settings are. And here's the funny thing: all social media platforms that do advertising, as well as Google, they want you to take the path of least resistance. And they realize that if it's too complicated, you won't run the ad, and they don't make the money until you run the ad, right? So we have to remember their ease of use, as so it seems, is to get their goal, not necessarily your goal. Now, I'm not saying they're not trying to get you what you want, which is your leads, your brand awareness, your sales, etc. But there are some pitfalls in the setup processes on both Meta as well as Google that if you're not careful, your ad campaign will just spend money and spend money and spend money. And guess what? They're not interested in calling to tell you, hey, your campaign has the wrong settings, right? And so you need to be working with someone who knows what these settings are. Step one, you've got to get the settings right from Jump Street, from the beginning. And if you get them wrong, I've said it in my training, if you get the objective wrong, you're screwed. The rest, all of the rest of it is wrong. Example, if you run a traffic campaign and you really want leads, you're done from the start. It doesn't matter what your targeting is. It doesn't matter what the budget is. It doesn't matter what the ad creatives look like. If you get the targeting wrong, if you get the objective wrong, you're done from the start. Okay. There are a few things that you do in Google like that we turn off automatically. Number one, we never run search campaigns with search partner campaigns. And that means the search network, if you will. That means we want our ads to show on Google and we want to control those ads that just show on Google. We do not want to combine those campaigns where we're going to run on the search partner network, which are websites that are affiliated with Google in the same campaign. We want to separate those campaigns. And by default, Google will link those two campaigns together. And if you don't know that, then you're going to get screwed. I'm sorry, but you are, right? Going back to social media, one of the big pitfalls is forgetting to set up your your tracking. And this goes for Google and Meta. So many people just jump right in because it's easy to push the buttons. In fact, listen, this isn't bashing Meta, but Meta, Facebook, Instagram, they make the green buttons and they lead you on the path to finish the campaign setup. So you'll follow in the Wizard of Oz, it was called Follow the Yellow Brick Road, right? Follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick. I love that movie, by the way. But in Meta, they set up these green buttons and make you think, oh, the next logical thing to do is to hit the green button, right? But before you hit the green button, there are things you have to do. Not setting up your tracking. See, the funny thing is Meta won't force you to set up the tracking. They'll give you a clue, but they won't force you to run the ad. They won't force you to set the tracking up to run the ad. They won't force you to set up the pixel. They won't force you to set up the conversion events. They just won't, right? Same thing with Google. Google will not stop the campaign from going live if you don't set up your tracking, if you don't set up the pixel, if you don't set up your conversion events. And so those are some of the common pitfalls. The last pitfall, it's not even a mistake. It's just an awareness, because if you don't have enough experience in this, you really won't understand today that both Google and social media platforms, their their targeting capabilities far exceed anything we can do on our own. Meaning, our job is to give them guidance on who it is we're trying to reach and the messages we want to share. And our job is to move a little bit further back on tying their hands to the wheel on targeting we think is going to work. Now that's changed over the last several years, but that is a new awareness, not so much a mistake, but a new awareness. All right, for paid advertising, I hope that helps and serves. Let's go to SEO. Let's go to SEO and see what we've got here. Number one question: what are long tail keywords and why are they so important to SEO? Great question. So let's be clear. First of all, long tail keywords are simply keywords or keyword phrases or even sentences today that are, I call them more than 4 words. Like the definition might be more than 2 words, but I think long tail is more than 4 words. What do I mean by that? It means that today as consumers, we're really smart about how we go search the web. We're not just searching, plumbing company in my city. We're not just searching that. That's kind of rudimentary. It's kind of basic. What we are searching for are real questions. I remember a very interesting case study. Since I brought up plumbing, it just struck my mind. I remember a plumbing company we worked with in 2013, and they were competing in a very competitive space. I had no idea back then how competitive the plumbing industry and a lot of local trade and the local home service industries were. I just had no idea how competitive it was. But we, of course, as we grew, we worked with a lot of these local companies. And what's interesting was one of their specific services was hot water heater repair, right? No one wants to take a cold shower. Of course, cold plunging is pretty popular these days, but most people don't want to take a cold shower on purpose more than once, right? Aside from those who are into the cold plunging world. And so we were like, how do we help them break in? They were a smaller company. They couldn't budget in as much as they needed. And it was really odd. My memory is that like the cost per click in their Google campaigns for those keywords that were important to them, they were something like $20, $25 a click. And they were a small company with a couple $1,000s a month in ads. And so we were like, how do we figure out how to get their budget efficient and then also help them reach their goal of customer acquisition? So long tail keywords, we started thinking, and this, by the way, works for SEO and Google Ads. So I'm going to kind of combine it. But those long tail keywords are what we call queries that identify problems before the purchase. Okay. They are queries. They are search queries. They are searches that your ideal customers are asking Google to give them an answer, give them some guidance, which generally are problems that precede the purchase. And what's really interesting is when you write long tail content around long tail keywords and then run ads against those keywords where possible, you're able to now meet that prospect, that perfect prospect. And I'll give you a real example in just a second, right where they are, but where your competitors aren't. Okay. Wouldn't it be nice if your customer acquisition process didn't involve 3 quotes? If you're in the business of getting quotes, wouldn't it be involved if you don't have the conversation and it goes like, well, I'm getting bids from 3 companies, or I'm checking around, I'm shopping around. Like when that happens, you're usually cutting your price so you can win the business. It's one of the most expensive things to do in SEO, and no one wants to invest in it. It's just a discussion we've been having for 13 years. No one wants to do the work of SEO, which is backlinks. Backlinks is the game. But we stumbled on this idea of, hey, if we just write long tail content, answer the question that they needed answered, we're going to be relevant to that specific search query and we won't need as many backlinks. So it's going to be a faster path of customer acquisition, brand awareness, and lead generation. So that's really the importance of long tail keywords. And then how do we map that over? Since it wasn't really asked, but I'm going to throw it in there. You can still use these long tail keywords in your content marketing on social media. And by the way, social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you just take that same type of content and you repurpose it throughout all of the channels. Because if your person is on Google and they have that problem, and then they come across your brand in social and they have that problem, you're still going to have that easy path of acquisition. So I hope that helps. Let me check here. I'm not going to get into how effective to use LSI keywords. That's a little strong for this particular Q&A. Very important, but a little strong topic for a short Q&A. What are some of the bad indicators of bad sites to avoid linking to? That's a sophisticated question. Can you explain more about the impact of website design and user experience in SEO? Absolutely. This is a good question. Website design is easy today. Building a website is easy today. Getting people to engage properly on your website, not as easy. And most people don't understand how important user engagement, user experience is to SEO. So in SEO, Google's looking at how people are finding your website and interacting on your website. And there's something that's very interesting, and that is if Google sees people come to your website and go immediately back to search, meaning they found you on the first page of Google or the second page. I doubt they found you on the second page. But if they found you on the first page of Google from SEO or an ad, we're not talking about ads, but from an SEO standpoint, and they come to your website and then go immediately back to Google, that sends a signal back to Google that your page wasn't relevant, right? So a lot of people build websites and they have a home page, an about page, and a contact us page, and they have a page that gives their services or their products. And a lot of people just stop. They don't blog. They don't do long tail keywords. They don't write content that's relevant. They forget that prominence and relevance are huge and they almost never end. And so if people are bouncing back to your website because of the user experience, meaning Google served them a page that didn't meet them on their query or their search intent, then they're going to bounce back and that's going to affect your SEO. So a couple things. Your website design itself isn't about the user experience on your website should be pretty good today. Number one, it needs to be mobile optimized first. You must focus on how your website looks from a mobile device first. Don't let your website designer build your website on a desktop and you don't QC, quality control that website and that experience. Meaning, is someone from a mobile device able to navigate and able to find the buttons and able to find the pages and find the forms and fill out the forms? Are they able to click to call? Are they able to read the information that they need to read without scrolling 35 times on the page? These are all things that matter to SEO and how you think about your website design. It's not enough to just build a website that's mobile friendly. Those days are gone. You really have to look at the buying experience from a mobile device. And for you that are in B2B, I'm speaking to you too. I know that there are situations where you think, well, we're in a high ticket B2B, business to business type of product or service, and people aren't going to transact on our website. And I hear you. I'm fine. People don't transact and buy our agency service right from our website. But they are at some point going to see our ad on social media, our ad on Google, or our ads, or they're going to interact with our content on a mobile device. So their experience is going to usually start or can start, at least in 50% of the time, they're going to start on a mobile device. So my advice would be always, always, always look at your mobile layouts, your mobile experience first. The next thing I would mention, and this is not just web design, but mobile optimization or speed optimization, and that is how fast do your pages load, right? One of the engagement features that'll kill your SEO is if you have a slow loading website. And a slow loading website today is anything over 3 seconds. I mean, it sounds like it's not that long, but I guarantee you, when your site's loading at 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 9 seconds, people are out of there. They're just out of there. Google will see that and it will hurt your SEO. Okay. For those advanced questions, feel free to send us an email and we'll talk about those offline. Let's go to social media, and I think we'll bring this session to a close today. Just a couple of quick questions in the area of social media. I love this question. What role does video content play in social media marketing? In 2024, I believe video is the number one thing you could be doing in social media. And I know that that's not what a lot of you want to hear. Social media today is so video forward. All you have to do is look around. YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok. Need I go on? It isn't the only thing that you have to do, but it plays such a huge role in a few reasons. If you sell something, first of all, for brand awareness, it is one of the easiest ways to get discovered on all social media platforms. Just take a look at your profile if you haven't been looking at it over the years. If you don't publish video, your content, your blog post, your text post, they just don't go anywhere, right? They just don't go anywhere. So you have to stay up with the times. And today, there's really no excuse to not do video because all of the apps and tools on these phones are so powerful compared to back in the day. Okay, so you have all the apps and the tools. So I encourage all of our clients to do video. There's a whole bunch of benefits. Let me give you a couple of them. Number one, when someone interacts with your video, the platforms, let's just stick with Meta, they can see the individuals who have hung out and watched your video. They've engaged at a deeper level on your videos, which means every time you post, they're going to keep trying to show more people who are behaving in that same way. They're trying to find more and more people on the platform who will have that sort of engagement on your content. Why is that important to them? Why is that important to Meta or LinkedIn or YouTube? Well, because their job is to keep people on the platform, right? So if you produce content that people want to engage with, and they can then show, they meaning the platform, can show that content to more and more people who will stay on the platform, then it serves their goal. But it also serves your goal, because when more and more people are engaging with your content, you then can turn around and run ads to those people that are deeply engaged in your content. Hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of the MindShift community. We'll help you shift your mind so you can shift your results.